Good morning. I want to jump on here and kind of put things in perspective. I'll let people jump in. So if you guys can see this, please, let me know if you're hearing this, like, comment. That's what kind of gets this out to more people. And so I'll let people hop in and we'll kind of talk about some really important stuff. And there's stuff that we're starting to see in the media. So I want to frame it in a way that everybody's going to understand what they're trying to do here. And so if you guys can hear this, please let me know. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Happy Friday, and I hope you guys have had a good week and are ready for the weekend. All right. And but we got a lot of work still to do. And so we have some time. And so I want to talk about kind of what this all looks like. And so if you guys can hear me, please let me know. I'm not. So there is the chat. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So here's where we're at. So I put a post in there. There was a guy that submitted a post yesterday, and so it was in regards to Harney County, and so yeah. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Lacey. Thank you for tuning in. So here's where we're at, and so if you're reading that story, I kind of look at that story kind of as a psyop, okay, and a psychological operation, and it had the effect that they were intending. Because I saw a couple guys in the group, they're saying, "Oh, we lost." They're ready to throw in the towel because they don't understand the process. And here's the process, and this is kind of where we're at. And I want you guys to be, understand. They are going to start throwing all the emotional baggage at us, and so we have to stand together. We have to make sure that we're united on this front because this is all psychological, and we have to see what they're trying to do, and we also are going to push back. And I'll talk to you about how we're going to push back, and we're going to have our own little psyop. And so what I mean by psyop is, letters to the editor, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But we have to understand that you look at the federal trial, right? The media did a really good job of painting the picture of this is this magical law that's going to solve all these things. And so what they did is they used the crowd, and they used the anti-gunners, they used the people that are afraid of guns, and they used them to write letters to the editor. Okay, so the letters of the editor are really powerful things because they come from the community. They're not written by journalists, they're written by everyday people just like you and I. And so that way they can kind of interject their truth into this conversation, and they can use the emotions to kind of drive their whatever narrative they're pushing. And so what I'm proposing for us is we do the same thing. And going into, we have trial a week out, we're a week out from trial. Okay. Nothing has changed. That article that was written, if you read the fine print, the judge lays out what he's going to do. Okay. So what he's going to do is he's going to do his job. And so it was never his job to come up with the rules. Okay. It was never his job his only job is to rule on whether this is constitutional, right? Under the Oregon Constitution and the or the federal Constitution, the Second Amendment. Okay. So those are his lanes and his avenues. And so it's not his job to write the rules. The state of Oregon State Police should have already done that. Okay. So that's where people are kind of getting tripped up because they think that the sky is falling because this guy is only going to do what he's, constitutionally authorized to do, which is he's going to rule on Section 1, Article 27 of the Oregon Constitution, which, if you're not familiar with that part of the Oregon Constitution, it says that as a resident of Oregon, or a citizen, I have a legal duty to protect myself in the state with my arms. Okay. So it says that in the Oregon Constitution, Section 1, Article 27. Okay. I'll put that in this chat. I'm going to there's going to be some information in this video because there's going to be a call to action here today. And so, that's where I'm trying to do is get everybody on the right mindset where now it's time to clock in. Now it's time to go to work. And so what I mean by that is I've already compiled a list of all the letters to the editor on the east side of the state. I'm not going to focus on the west side of the state. I'm not going to focus on Eugene. I'm not going to focus on Salem. You can if you'd like, but that's not going to be my focus. My focus is going to be Eastern Oregon. Okay. My focus is going to be the constituents, the neighbors of that judge. And I'm not trying to send a message directly to the judge. I just want to put these messages, these heartfelt messages from you guys, the gun owners, into these papers so his neighbors can see it. The people that vote for him see this. And we're not trying to influence him. We're just trying to put our truths out. Okay. And so what does it look like for us in the last, so this has almost been a year. It's coming up on a year. So it's about 10 months since this thing went into effect. 9 months, 10 months. Okay. Since, it was passed at the ballot box, right? I feel like we got kind of cheated there. And hey Larry, how you doing? And so we haven't seen there's been no benefit to the state of Oregon. Okay. So there's been no benefit to the taxpayers. There's been no benefit to the public safety, like which they're trying to propose. And so that's kind of where I'm getting at with these call to actions, these letters to the editor that I think we should be writing. And I'll put everything in this video. So it's going to be really, really easy where you guys can just click a link. You could put in a 250 word little story about how this is bad for the state of Oregon. You could submit it directly to the letters to the editor. I've tried to make it as easy as I can for everyone. And so that way you guys can have your voices be heard and to push back on this narrative. This is, as we get closer and closer, this is going to be more and more important. And so I think that if we focus on those rural counties and have our voices, obviously the first thing that's going to happen there is we're more likely to get those letters submitted, right? So there's going to be more of a centrist, right-leaning journalism over there in the eastern part of the state. So we're more likely to have our letters to the editor picked up. Okay, so once these letters to the editor are picked up, then now our message is getting out into local newspapers. Now our message is getting out on social media and email blasts and stuff like that. So that's how we're going to push back on this narrative. And we're going to talk about the way, hey Jared, the way this whole thing has been sold, and there's never been any benefit to the state of Oregon as of today. And so we should talk about how much it's already cost. I mean, we're already $2 million in defense, at least from the state, in defense of Measure 114 and the federal trial, and also in the state trial. And so, obviously I talked to a local a law enforcement partner that I had the other night, and they just approved their budget for the next fiscal year, and they added a staffer for issuing these permits, right? So, and he told me, what he told me is they couldn't afford to add an extra law enforcement officer to the street, right, to help protect the community, but they had to add a body in the office just to do clerical work to run these background checks. So, that's something we could put into our we look at Harney County. Harney County only has 5 deputies, right? 5, so how in the heck are they supposed to comply with this law without putting unnecessary strain on the public? Harney County, there's 5 deputies that travel, and they cover 10,000 square miles. And this is all stuff that we should be putting in the letters to the editor. These are just examples, right? And you guys can put whatever you want, but make sure that we submit these letters to the editor, which I'll put everything in here, because this is going to go to those newspapers right before this trial. And so there's going to be a big media blitz. There's going to be a lot of the left-leaning newspapers that are going to be weighing in, saying that this is the greatest thing. You're going to have the anti-gunners that are going to weigh in and say, oh my goodness, we're so close to getting victory. And this is our opportunity to push back and say, no, you're not going to win. And so this is how we're going to win, is we have our voices be heard. Like the emails that we sent to the legislature, those did tremendous things at the time, and we did a lot of great things, and we kind of had some lull in the fighting. And so now it's time that we get back involved. So what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to submit these links to you guys so you guys can get involved. I'm also going to take the time. I'm going to write my own emails to it. You could write one email, copy and paste it, and send it to all these different newspapers. I forget. I think I have 10 or 12 different newspapers, right, that you guys could submit these letters to the editor. and just talk about, if we have single mothers that are in the group, mama bears, you guys can talk about the fact that you need this magazine that holds 17 rounds to be able to defend yourself and your family. So put a personal touch on this, like lay it all out for the people that don't know, the readers that don't understand this argument that we have. And talk about, we have a constitutional right to be able to own and possess a firearm, and a permit to purchase is a direct violation of our Second Amendment rights. And be very, very clear, be descriptive, put a face to your letter to the editor. And that's how we're going to win. This is definitely an information war, and they are getting ready to ratchet up the rhetoric. And so we have to make sure that we stand together and we push back. And the way we do that is we write these letters to the editor. And so, thoughts, comments, concerns, ideas, you guys have anything? And I've kind of fired up. It's early, it's only 8, but I got a busy day, so I want to do this early so I can kind of get it off my plate. And so, hi Tony. I hope everybody's doing well. I just I want to make sure that you guys know this is a good thing for us. The fact that the judge is only going to be ruling on the constitutionality of this bill, this is a good thing for us. And don't get in the weeds, don't get down in the dumps. That's what they want. It's a psyop. There's this story that they just released, and it's a short story, has no bearing on anything. This is them trying to push their agenda. Don't be deflated. We are too close to the end zone here, and we have to stay positive. We have to stay focused, and we have to stay engaged. They're hoping by putting stuff out like this that we will just put our heads down and we will accept our fate. We're not going to accept our fate, because we know at the end of the day, all of this stuff is unjust, it's unconstitutional, and it will do nothing but impact the safety of us and our families. That's flat out. And so, that's kind of where we're at. We are going to push back on this stuff. We're going to stop this stuff. And let's just make sure that you guys understand, what's truly at stake here. And what's at stake is obviously your freedom, right? Your ability to carry a magazine that has a detachable base plate, which could be a Class A misdemeanor if we lose this, right? Your ability to go buy a firearm and just fill out a 4473 form and take possession once that background check is approved. That's at stake. So your way of life, the way you like to exercise these freedoms right now is currently under attack. And so that's why it's really, really important is we push back on that. And we do that by making sure our voices be heard. And we make it as I'll make it as easy as I can for you guys to get involved. I just need your help. And so, that's kind of where I'm at, and if I hope this all resonates with you guys, I hope this motivates. I hope this makes you feel good. Because as much as they want to say, they know they're going to lose. They know what the Oregon State Constitution says. They know what court they're going to be in. They know what part of the state they're in. They know they are not going to win. And so we have to make sure that we hold our heads high and understand they're going to do whatever they can to manipulate this situation. They're going to use the media. They could use children to send letters to the editor. They could use teachers. They could use typical anti-gun shills to further this. And so that's where it's really, really important we get involved. And so, I hope this is all making sense. I hope this message resonates with you guys and motivates. Absolutely. Right here, Chris. Thank you. Our way of life, our cultural, and that's what I told the VA yesterday. We have a gun culture here in the state. We have a gun culture in the country, and it's never going to go anywhere. I told the VA yesterday, and they're kind of shocked when I went on down this path that I went. And I talked to the fact that there's an estimated 450 million guns in this country. Okay. There's 110 million law-abiding gun owners that haven't committed a crime in this country. And so it would be impossible logically, physically impossible for you could ban everything today and it would be impossible for the government to collect all these guns. So what's the next thing we're going to do, right? Let's change this tactic, okay? Let's coexist, right? So when we talk about coexist, let's incentivize education, let's incentivize training. Let's do all these things that are going to help move the needle in a way we need them to move the needle, and let's quit with further restriction. And so uh, absolutely, Brad. Absolutely. And so this right here, this is a, if you don't know Brad Lorry, he's a great sheriff. He's out of over east and a tremendous sheriff, and he understands the Constitution. He understands his oath to the Constitution, and it's really refreshing to have a gentleman like him in the group, but also in uniform. And he works very, very hard. So he's actually one of the plaintiffs in the federal lawsuit. So he put his money where his mouth is, and he stood up for his constituents that need these guns for self-defense on the ranch or whatever it may be, protection over there in Eastern Oregon. And so, that's where we have to understand that there's people that are on our side, and we have to make sure that we understand, what's at stake here, and we help support those that are helping us, right? And so, thank you, Brad, for being here, and I appreciate everything that you do for the state and your county. And let's hope that we can come together and we can stop this stuff. And at the end of the day, how much money have we spent? How much gold and treasure have we spent to have 0 lives be saved? Especially this thing goes into effect. Let's say they're going to be cheering this thing. What this thing will do is this will go to another court if we lose, and this will be, this will go to the Oregon State Supreme Court, probably not get the ruling that we need there. So then it will go to the ninth district again. So this thing's not going to go into effect. The best thing that we have going for us is the likelihood of that judge not releasing the TRO. And so with the TRO in place, the status quo stays, nothing changes. Okay. So nothing will change if that TRO stays in place. And I feel good enough about the statement that nothing is going to change. And I don't, this is my own personal opinion. Okay. I'm not speaking legally. I'm looking at it from an optics standpoint. The state of Oregon does not have a program to permit the purchase. They do not have a training program. So from day one, this will be a denial of our constitutional rights. And so a right delayed is a right denied. Okay. And understand that. And so this is, we're in a good spot. We just have to make sure that we don't let the PSYOP win. And the way we don't let the PSYOP win is we push back. We write these letters to the editor. We have our voices be heard. We tell our neighbors, we tell the constituents in those counties that voted in support of this judge, thank you for this vote, right? Because he gave us this judge that understands his position. He's not a radical. He's not activist judge. He's a good man and a fair man, and he understands what his position is in this. And don't let the media like take you down this path where you're gonna get defeated, because we're not defeated. Okay. And so that's where I'm at. So good to see you, Cody. I hope everything's well with your county. So we have another sheriff here. This is Cody Bowen. He's from Union County, and he was another one of the plaintiffs in the federal case. So these are two great men that serve their communities. They understand their oath to the Constitution, and they're standing in solidarity here with you as Oregon gun owners. So these are tremendous guys that I support and respect. And so that's why, we're so thankful to have them, their service to this state. And so that's why we're going to stand together with them and push back on this. And so we're talking about, let's talk about our thoughts. Okay. Possibly, Jared. You don't want to get too down the rabbit hole. Obviously what I'm recommending is how this law would impact you, your family, right? Your ability to protect yourself. I would come at it from a cost costs standpoint, these smaller counties like Cody, I don't know how many officers. I thought he said he had 15 officers. And I don't believe Brad has that many, but it's the sheer fiscal impact to these small rural counties where they're going to have to hire staff. They're going to have to dedicate people to training. They're going to have to do all of this stuff, which takes away their ability to be able to protect the public that they already serve. And so that's, the one thing that's really, really important here is they don't have anything spun up. Like they've had 10 months to be ready to run if this thing goes into effect, and they are at zero. Right. So how long? Let's play. Oh, so Cody, yeah. So 15 patrol deputies. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, they don't have anything spun up. So how much time and how much bureaucracy is it going to take for them to get this thing spun up if it goes into effect? I mean, literally. Oh, so Brad has 6 patrol deputies, right? So we have 21 deputies, right, that cover 2 counties, right, to protect the public. And yeah, right here. So that's the message that we talk about, right? Is you're getting this firsthand information from a chief law enforcement officer of his county, and he oversees his budget. He knows his budget. He knows how much will impact his citizens, and so this is stuff that we put in this. And obviously, we don't name our sheriffs here. We use anonymity to protect them, but we use this information to show the fact that in these small rural counties, this is going to make their counties less safe because of the impact it is to people that already depend on these services that the county provides. And so this is a really, really good thing. I would be really, really careful about going down the rabbit hole, Jared, when it comes to, what like offers suggestions, right? Because they're just going to glaze over, and they're not going to listen to those. I would keep it short. I would keep it I would keep it to the point and make sure that we focus on the impact. The impact. And if this was truly about safety, we would be incentivizing people carrying guns everywhere in public, concealed lawfully. We would not make it harder to carry guns. We would incentivize training. We would give discounts for people to buy safes. If it was truly about public safety, these are the things that we would do. We would not be penalizing law-abiding citizens. So we have to understand this is not about safety. This is about control. This is about law-abiding citizen control. Okay. One thing to think about here. This is about law-abiding citizens control. This is not about criminal control. Because if it was about criminal control, it wouldn't be turning you into criminals, right? For carrying a magazine with a detachable base plate. Okay. So that's where. Oh, yeah. No, because the problem is here, and I know he's being sarcastic, right? Is there's going to be more crime because all of us are going to be criminals, right? If you think about it, right? There's actually going to be more crime for these deputies because all of us would be criminals for having a magazine that has a detachable base plate outside of our home, so, or the range. So yeah, Adams, I get where you're going. It's a utopia. They're trying to build a utopia. The problem is they're focusing on the wrong demographic if they're going to build a utopia. Yes, there is exceptions. Yes, it is still an open carry state. Depending on where you're going, you got to know your municipalities, so check your local rules and regulations. Yes, absolutely. All 3 of these. So we got 3 of the plaintiffs. We have a hat trick in hockey. So 3, I think it's 3, right? I don't follow hockey, but I don't know. It's early still. So that's where we're at. So letters to the editor. Okay. Let's move this needle in a positive way. Let's let local Eastern Oregon citizens know that we support them. We have their backs. Let's write these letters to the editor. Let's let the public know how we're going to be impacted as a state, how it's going to affect our ability to protect our children, also to protect our communities, because in certain rural communities, I've heard of instances where law enforcement has reached out to local people that have firearms to help them secure that scene, and we're talking 6 patrol deputies. I'm not sure how many square miles. I want to say, I thought when we talked it was 1,800 square miles. Don't quote me on that. But there's a lot of area that they travel, and so that's where we have to understand that there is a time where law enforcement could need our help, and so that's where having the training, having the equipment, having the ability to help is really, really important. And that's truly what our founding fathers envisioned for our Second Amendment, was to be able to protect ourselves in the state. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So let's not lose this psyop, and we're not going to lose this psyop by making sure that we do our part. I'll put everything in a post here where you guys can click. You can click on the link to the letter to the editor. Once that link is there, then you can put in the body. What I would do is, you're writing this letter to the editor, to the first one. What I would do is, once I have it almost ready to submit, what I would do is I would copy and paste it right then, and then I would hit submit, and then I can just tap on the next link, open up that letter to the editor to the other paper, and then go ahead and resubmit. Just hit copy and paste, and you can literally knock out all of these in literally 20 minutes. Give me 20 or 30 minutes of your time to help push back on this stuff. That's all I ask. And so let's have our voices be heard. And we look at what happened with Measure, the federal case. Is there was a lot of trials in public opinion, there was a lot of letters to the editor. Then there was a lot of stuff that was happening, and I would imagine they're getting ready to start firing those out. And it's going to be in the Oregonian, it's going to be in the Register Guard, the Statesman Journal. The problem is, that's the left part of the state, and so I'm not as concerned. I already know what they think, and they're kind of a lost cause. And so what I want to do, though, is I want to focus on the eastern part of the state, and I want to make sure, because I probably have a better shot of getting my letter to the editor sent in and accepted, and it's going to have a greater impact there. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So does anybody have any questions? Does this sound like something you guys can get behind to help out with? Because if it is, I really appreciate it. And that's kind of where we're at. We just gotta make sure that we stop it. I'm sure that obviously every sheriff would have that kind of data. We could look at FBI data. We could look at, there's crime data. You could look at crimeresearch.org. That would be Dr. John Lott. He would have good data. The problem is and where I'm thinking with this is kind of more of an emotional based plea, right? So when we start talking facts, like, not everybody's going to understand that, and we might not get the desired results that we're looking for here. I feel that if we keep it shorter and more concise and we don't bring in the facts, we just use the emotion, maybe that's going to help us with these appeals to the public. That was kind of my thought. But I'm not telling you what to write. So if you want to put the time in there and do all that, then go for it. I would think that that's an acceptable thing. I just want to make sure that we know, what we're doing here, and this is really, really important stuff. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to get off here. I got some video stuff to do, and I get to go to the range, which is great. Looking forward to that. So, but I got stuff to do. I completely understand. Cody, I understand. It's hard to argue with facts. But we understand, though, in a psyop, which this is what I'm trying to accomplish here, is the facts don't necessarily matter as much as the emotion. And why I'm saying this is because I'm taking a playbook I'm taking a page out of their playbook, right? Is I'm using their tactics against them by motivating law-abiding citizens that are gun owners to paint a picture of how this impacts them, the people around them, their counties, their sheriffs. But so if you want to sprinkle in, I mean, these are all up for your personal, this is all your writing. So whatever you see fit. I'm not telling you what to write. I'm trying to just shape it in a way where it makes sense and has, the impact we need it to have, so, you know, so my thing is constituents, people in the, we're talking small rural communities. It's interwoven, right? And a lot of this stuff happens in diners. A lot of this stuff, like, are and a lot of it is I kind of, my thought was to have this stuff in the face of the judge, and I'm not trying to influence. I'm just trying to paint a picture in those communities. And so, and I'm not saying that this is not meant to influence the judge. This is just meant to shore up support on the east side of the state. And that's, I've talked with some people smarter than me when it comes to this stuff, and just kind of weighed in on what their thought was, because what the other side does really, really well is they use fear, emotion, no facts, and they rule the newspapers. They rule all these different debates because they interject their positions where it doesn't need to be, right? And so I'm kind of trying to counter that by, like, okay, this is what we can do as responsible law-abiding citizens, and this is how this can impact us. And so that was kind of my thought. And it's similar to like writing a letter to our representatives, but we're going to do it inside the newspaper. That was my thought. That's, so I hope that makes sense, Adam. It's obviously it's another, that's where I was going with this. And it's just a way for us to, get out in front of the other side, making sure that if they're going to start running, obviously I know Bend is going to have a lot of, anti-gun rhetoric when it comes to Measure 114. So I'm probably not going to focus on the Bend area, but I would focus on, on smaller rural counties. That was my goal, and I hope that makes sense. Oh, absolutely, absolutely, 100%. And that's, yeah, we lost, and we're gonna hopefully get the information, the ruling that we need going on to a different thing. And so make sure you stay up to date. Oregon Firearms Federation there, and then, they still need your help when it comes to donations to make sure that everything goes to, we're going into the appeals process, and that's going to take time and resources and money. So making sure, don't forget the plaintiffs there. We have, Coat of Arms, Adam Johnson, we had Cody Bowen, and we also have Brad Lowry. They put everything on the line for you as plaintiffs. So let's make sure that we help Oregon Firearms Federation to continue this lawsuit. And so that's another thing that's really, really important is, yeah, this whole thing was emotion, 100%. And so, and what we're going to do is, if, like, heaven forbid, I'm not like, this is all hypotheticals. If something were to change and this thing does go into effect, we should hold all of these people accountable somehow. And I don't know how we do that, but the fiscal impact, the fiscal impact to the state of Oregon, in litigation cost alone, is enough to really, it should upset people. And if you're not upset, you're not paying attention. So yeah, emotion and misinformation, 100%, 100%. And they sold this fake bill of goods, saying that, basically the way they put it on there is there's no background checks in the state of Oregon. That's not true. Every gun, because of previous laws, every gun, even a used gun, is required to go through a background check unless it's a direct family member or a loved one. And so the fact that they're saying that we do not have to have, background checks was completely false and completely misleading. And so I think one thing that's really upsetting to me is the fact that, they brought in all these high powered, professional testifiers and paid them this ungodly amount of money to testify against all of us. And they told us on average how many rounds is used in a self-defense shooting, right? I don't know about you. I want as many rounds as I can physically hold. I don't care how many I'm going to need. I want as many as I can hold just in case, right? It's just insurance, right? And so, that's where this whole thing where like, oh man, my blood pressure is already going up. So, and I need to probably get off here. So, hope that makes sense. I'm going to put everything here. I'm going to make it easy for you guys. Just please help us out. That's all I ask. So, it's going to help, beat back the misinformation and speak your truth, speak from your heart, speak to the impact of what this is going to do to your county, your local municipality, and your neighbors, right? And you, right? So put a face to it. Let them know. Let them know what it means. So, that's kind of where I'm at. No, I appreciate you, Cody. I appreciate your help with the ammunition for the kids. That was amazing. And so we're going to use that, and we're going to teach some kids how to be safe, and we're going to help protect our Second Amendment rights going into the next generation. So I appreciate you, Cody, for your support. So that's where I'm at. So other than that, you guys, happy Friday. Have a great day. I'm going to get off here. I'm going to put all the information, make it easy as I can for you guys. But please help us with the situation. Make sure that we write these letters to the editor, have your voice be heard, and help us stop this stuff. So other than that, have a great day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you.